Hello everyone, let me introduce myself. I am Facundo Carballo, and today I will explain you how I create my entire website. This website is built to show the skills of a junior software engineer and to get your first full-time or freelance job. Since I started the YouTube channel, this website has given me good results because I could get some freelance jobs through this website. They give me a task, I do it, and then they finally pay me. Also, I could get a full blockchain project that when I finish, I am sure that I will be uploading some video explaining this project. Before I start with the video, I remind you that if you like these kind of videos, you can hit the like button to let me know that. And I invite you to subscribe to my channel because I will be uploading more videos like this, and honestly are the videos that most enjoyed doing. First of all, before we start to create a website, we will always have to have clear the why of this website. What is the target of the website? How can we get some advantage with this website? So we have to have some general idea of what we want to show, to imagine the structure of this website. In my case, when I started to create this website, I knew that I wanted the website to show me as a junior software engineer, to sell my services as a freelancer. Also, it was in my plans to create a YouTube channel where I will be uploading my experience, my projects, and so on. So I also think that it will be good to show all my projects that I will share on YouTube. So I will have to add a section where I can upload this kind of projects. Then I realized that not all the videos will be projects. So I decided to create another section to put a resume of these videos. And this section I call blocks. So before I start coding, I already knew the basic structure that my website will have. After that, we will have to decide a work environment. Before I start anything, I already knew that I will use React and Next.js. This is more personal taste, but in my case, I really like developing with React and Next.js because they bring you the facility on routing and of course the reusability of the components. Since I don't like to work with pure CSS, I will need some component library. So I have to investigate different libraries to work. Here I found Chakra AI and just fell in love with this component library. The aesthetic that Chakra AI provide, it's amazing. I really like the results that I can get using Chakra AI. This is also a personal decision. I feel really comfortable with Chakra AI. For example, Material UI has more components than Chakra AI. Or the same with Undesign, but I really like working with Chakra AI. So it will be difficult for me to change that thought. And if you are interested in Chakra AI, I have a video on my channel where I explain all of this in detail. I will put the video on the tags and also in the description of this video. Before I start developing the website, I like to see other similar websites to see how they think about the design of the website, how they structure this site, what things they add, what things they don't put, and so on. In the end, I do this before to start developing something to get an idea, make conclusions, and see what things I can implement and what things I will not implement. In this process, if you will use a component library, you will have to see and know what things you will be able to implement with the components that this library will provide you, and what things you will have to develop using these components or with pure HTML and CSS. This panoramic view will give you an idea of how long it will take this website. Well, may this seem like a big difference between what I said in my other videos, but for this website I spent a lot of time thinking about the design of the site on Figma. It was quite similar to my final product. This previous scheme helps me because when I start coding, I already know what I want. Obviously, while we are coding, we can add something or take something from the initial design of Figma. But it's just to get an idea of what I want to develop, what design I want. Well, now, getting into the code, the first thing that I have done for my website was the navbar. To create a generic navbar so anyone can use it with just passing some parameters, and like I am working with TypeScript, I will have to implement the interface first to identify the data type that arrives as a parameter. First, each item of the navbar, what will be the links to other pages or sections, will carry a label and an href for the link. So in the interface for these items, we'll carry with two parameters, both of type string, one for the text of the button and the other for the link that will be redirected. Now the complete interface of the navbar will carry a photo. So we will need some URL to show this photo. After that, the navbar can have a title. This parameter will be optional because there will be situations where we don't want to show this title. So we mark some parameters as optionals using the ask symbol after the data type. Finally, we will need another interface that indicates the props of the navbar. We create the component of navbar. We receive the props which structure we created before. Once inside of the component, we will need some variables to handle some situation of the navbar. Starting with the theme of the website. That means that if it's on dark mode or light mode, what colors we will use, and so on. Thankfully, Checker AI provides us a simple way to change the mode of the website, just by using a hook, where you will get in one variable the color mode, dark or light, and a function that swaps them. This hook is called useColorMode. After that, we create another variable that will store the background color of the website in both dark and light mode. This hook is called useColorModeValue, and the first parameter will be the color that will display on light mode, and the second parameter will be the color that will display on dark mode. Also, we will need to have a boolean variable that indicates when the website is on dark mode. And finally, we will use another Checker AI hook called useDisclosure. This hook will return us a boolean variable that will indicate if the navbar is open or not. This is for the mobile design only. And a function that will be swapping the value of this boolean variable. So on the mobile, each time that this number will open, we will have to call this function, and the same for when this number is closing. Finally, with the components that Chakra AI provides us, I create the number. Remember that you will have all the code on my website in my GitHub repo. You will have the link to this repo on the description of the video. I want to say that all that I have done doesn't mean that I created that from zero. I also watch videos, learn how to do things, just like you are doing now. For example, this number, it's almost a copy of the number that Benjamin Carlson published on his YouTube channel. I added something and removed other things. But the core, it's the same. Always you will have to search for more information. You will have to search how to implement something, and it's okay. That never will have to end, because that means that we are learning. I will give you the link to the video of Benjamin Carlson in the description of the video, where he explained how to create this number in more detail than me. We continue developing the main page of my website. The main idea was to split the page in different parts. First, show some presentation about myself, telling who I am, what I like to do, and so on. After that, show my skills as a developer. This section may change in the future. Maybe I can put some images or GIFs of my previous jobs or my previous projects. Finally, the website will have some section that allows the user to make contact with me. That at the end of the day, it's the reason why we create this website, to interact with prospects. The possible prospects arrives on our website, and then he or she starts to see our presentation. If they are still interested, they will continue to drop down, and they will see my skills. And if they are interested to this moment, it's possible that they will contact me. To create this section of contact, I decided to make a form with some simple data, and then when the user sends the message, it's stored on my database, and then I will make contact with them. But also, I decided to create a WhatsApp button, so the prospect can simply press this button and the WhatsApp app will open in a chat with me. At the beginning, this button doesn't exist, but when I start on YouTube and publish this website, I see that a lot of people visit my website, but they don't make contact with me. And the few people that contact me, in their message, they say to me that they want to talk to me through WhatsApp. So I decided to aggregate this WhatsApp button that saves a lot of time for the users. Since that, the interactions with prospects increase. It's possible that when I decided to redesign my website, I delete the form and leave just the WhatsApp button. Once I finish the development of the main page, I continue with the project and blogs section. Both pages are identical. Just one shows the projects and the other shows info about how I made some YouTube video. Honestly, I think that in the future, when I have to remodel my website, I will delete this blogs section, because I am sure that the blog section doesn't contribute at the same level as the project section. And I feel that until now, this section is stuffed, and I don't want to have some section on my website that I won't be able to deliver my 100%. I realize that when I have to make some project for YouTube, I can spend 1, 2, 3, or 4 days making it pretty. But when I have to make some blog, I don't want to spend even an hour writing the blog. And honestly, like I write a blog like that, you can see the main difference in quality about the project section and the blog section. So I think that this section doesn't contribute in all to my website. Regarding to these pages, both will have the navbar that I created before. Later you can see a kind of seek which will filter the blogs or projects so that the user can search for one determined project or blog. After that, we have a grid that deploys 2 cards per row. I designed these cards especially to show the projects and blogs. Obviously, if we are in a smartphone, it will deploy only 1 card per row. I can make this because I am using the breakpoints that Tracker AI provides us. So I can decide when to display some components using these breakpoints. When I want to show this component in a determinate breakpoint, I have to add the keyword flex. And when I don't want to show the component, I have to add the keyword none. All of these components are made with some Tracker AI components. None of these components are made with pure HTML and CSS. The card that will show my projects or blogs has to receive a determinate structure as a parameter to display the project or blogs in a simple way. To do that, I create an interface that I call card info props, which contains the following elements. The main idea is to receive a list of elements with this structure. We can just receive an array of this new interface that I created before. But I finally decided to create another interface, adding this array and a volume variable to identify if we are showing this info in Spanish or in English. Once I have all of this made, I will continue with the design of this card. As you can see, I really like to design in this way, delegating one box to show all the components that the desktop design has, and another box to show all the components that the mobile design has. In both boxes, I show the component that I call card info desktop, and I pass the parameter that I receive in each iteration. As you can see, the entire card wraps the next component called next link. This is useful to redirect the user to the page of the corresponding project or blog. Later, on the design of the card, I will start by showing the image that we receive from the parameter. After that, I am simply leaving spaces between the components, and I will show all the info that we received from the parameters, like the date, the title, the description, and so on. I made the spaces between the components with empty boxes with a determinate height or width. To create the filtering of these cards, I decide that the state of the variables that I will use to display each card, I will create them inside of a context, using React context. So I create a context and a component that will be useful like a supplier of that context. Inside of this component, I create some variables using React useState to store all the projects and blogs that I will be doing. After that, using another hook of React called useEffect, I will be able to set all the blocks and projects when every page is refreshed. After that, I made some functions to handle all the filtering of these cards, including the filtering by search and the filtering by some keyword. This function that you can see now, getBlocks and getProjects, are functions that return an array with all the blocks and all the projects that they have done. The body of this function are simply this: a function that returns a determined data type, which is the interface that I created before. Inside of this function, I create a variable per project or block. This variable will contain all the data that I want to show in the cards. In the href, I just have to put the name of the project or block, and then I will handle that inside of the page of the project or block. Because the URL can be different if we are seeing this website in Spanish or in English. Finally, I create another variable that contains all the project or blocks that I created before, and then return this variable. Regarding the supplier of the React context, after that, I create this function that will help me to handle the filtering of the projects or blocks. I will create a variable that will contain all the data that I want to share with all the projects through the context. So I will pass here the blocks, the projects, and all the functions that I made. Later, I create a function that I will use like a hook to get all the values that I provide to this context. To make this context work, and in every page of this project I can get the data from the context, I will have to add this context inside of the app.js file. Here we will have to add the supplier component that I created before, wrapping the entire project. Inside of the filtering component, I use this new hook and I get all the projects and blocks that I want to show, and also I get all the functions that allows me to handle the filtering of these cards. Anyway, I create some functions inside of this component to handle the filtering. In these functions, we will wonder if we are working with blocks or projects, and in base of that, we execute one of these functions that we received from the context. Regarding to the design of this component, the filtering by keyword is just a select component that Chakraai provides us, while the search bar is just an input with a search button on the right. Well, this is my website, and as you can see, using a component library makes the development much easier. The components are pretty, so we just have to think how to use them to make our website. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, and of course I invite you to subscribe to my channel because I will be posting more videos like this.